This video is about making this black box. If you don't know what I'm talking about, click this button right here and go and see the video about photographing 35mm slides. Then come back and see this video. It will make a lot more sense. I built it out of plywood. Had a nice little ledge right here to hold the slides in place, a hole for the lens to fit in, a little mounting area to keep the box in the right place, and bolts to keep it attached to this focusing rail. Afterwards, I thought, this box does not need to be built out of plywood. It can be built out of another material. And as I thought about it, 1/4-inch foam board would be a wonderful solution. This video is about taking some 1/4-inch black foam board, laying it out, cutting it out, and building a black box. We will go through what you need. So here we go. Okay, the things we're going to need in this is, well, the obvious thing is a piece of black foam board. We're going to need a pencil, a white leaded pencil, a razor knife. I prefer utility knife, it's easier to handle. You're gonna need some gaffer's tape. You're gonna need a ruler. You're gonna need a square, and you're going to need some Elmer's glue. The first thing you need to know is the size of your lens. And according to this, kind of guesstimate this right here, it looks like we have a lens that is pretty close to 3 inches. We need to make our box big enough to fit around the lens so that the lens can freely focus inside the box. So we know that our lens is 3 inches from widest point to widest point. And we want a 1/4 of an inch all the way around spacing around the lens. So then we need, so that's 1/4 of an inch. And that would be times 2 equals 1/2. We need to make the box on the inside 1/2 inch bigger than the lens. And that will allow for 1/4 inch all the way around. Then our box actually is going to skirt right inside that space. And then our material for the box is going to be 1/4 of an inch. And so we have 3 inches, 1/4 inch, and another 1/4 inch times 2, which would be another 1/2 inch. For the box equals 1/2 inch. And so we have 1/2 and 1/2 equals 1 inch plus 3 inches equals 4 inches. So we're going to make the outside of our box, that's this dimension right here and here, 4 inches. Now we need to figure out the length of the box. So we have our lens and our camera. And we have our slide. And so we need this dimension here to the lens plus 1/2 of the lens body. And we need to figure out those numbers. So the only way we can do that is look through the camera at the slide, bring it into focus, and measure the distance and add 1/2 of the length of the body of the lens body. And add those all together. I think we're just going to use the numbers off the old. Now on the box that I built before, that measures 5 3/8. And for this example, let's just go with 5 1/4. So the first thing we need to do is draw a series of rectangles 4 inches by 5 1/4. So we have 4 rectangles. Now on the top of either the second or the third, or draw a square. And it needs to be 4 inches. Set that there on 4. Right in the middle of the third rectangle and square, we need to put a hash mark. We need to center a mark right in the center. Center in the center. And I want a couple of hash marks. Now, right on the rectangle, I'm going to put some marks for a bolt. But up in the top square, I need to create the hole for the slide. And I want these marks down here to be about 1.5 inches from the edge. Now this is an awl. It's very good for creating holes or points. Now these little holes right here is where I'll push the bolt through. And up here at the top, in the square, I need to put another center line. So line that up. And put another hash mark there. Now the next step is measuring the slide. And this slide is 1 3/8 inches. So if we make this opening 1.5 inches, that should be good enough. So 1.5 inches is 3/4 and 3/4. And it is 15/16 of an inch tall from top to bottom. So let's just make that 1/2 an inch on each side, which would be 1 inch. And let's mark that. The next thing we need to do is lay out 1/8 of an inch on each side. This will create a miter. The next step is to cut out the box. Now when you do this, make sure you have something that you can cut on. It's vitally important that you do not destroy your wife's or your own dining room table. The next thing we need to cut out is the hole for the slide. Okay, now this is the box all flattened out. The next thing that needs to be done is to cut a V channel in all of this other white lines so that we can fold it up and have it be good. Okay, one thing I forgot to do is mark that one there. You're always something you forget, isn't there? You know, you do the best you can, but okay. And let's start right here. Guesstimate a 45-degree angle. Now if you do cut through, it's not the end of the world because there's always tape. So there's our box all ready to go. Now let's do a dry fit, which means we fold it together and check it out, make sure it's all working before we glue it. Nice thing about foam is it's squishy. Perfect. It's looking good. All right. Next step, take some gaffer's tape. And we want it about that long. Okay, we lay down some gaffer's tape on the table here. And we try to center the edge right on that tape. Next step, take some Elmer's glue and let's put some glue in the joints. Use the awl to increase the size of the holes. The next step is to cut a stop or a ledge for the slide to sit on during the time that you're taking the photograph. Take a piece of scrap, lay out the slide in one corner, and cut that piece out. You want these edges here to be as square as possible. The next step is to place the slide over the hole. And you kind of need to hold it up to the light to make sure that it's good. Now you want to make sure of the bottom. And you want to hold it up here. Can you see that? Probably not. We want to add a little bit of glue. Hold the slide in place and glue that stop right there. Oh, I moved. Before it dries, I need to check it again. Make sure that that is right in the center of that hole. Now the good thing about DSLR cameras and digital format is you can straighten things out in post-production through Lightroom or Corel or whatever you use for your editing. That is pretty much it. Now let that dry for a minute. While that is drying for a moment, the other things you needed was number 10 by 24 by 2 inch, and then a 10 by 24 butterfly nut and a bunch of washers. Take the bolt. This is a fender washer. Now these washers will stack the box up on the focusing rail and act like this little block right here. So you get enough washers, you can get the correct spacing. Tighten it up on your focusing rail. Adjust it to the proper length so that the camera can focus on it properly. And there you go, a box that you can put the slides in, take a picture, and do next. Be sure to stay tuned. The next video will be on the white box. It's a great way to diffuse your light to make sure that you're getting a good, clean image when you're capturing 35mm slides. I'd like to thank you for watching. Have a great day.